Hello everyone. This month we have Serena Verdi with us. She's a last year PhD student in computer science at UCL. So Serena, could you explain us in one sentence what your research is about?
One sentence.
One
Oh
sentence.
my gosh, it might be a long sentence.
It's okay. Like a paragraph or a short novel.
Yeah, no comments. So, oh my gosh, I forgot that. This is
Okay,
going to
take
be a
your time.
long 40 minutes. Okay, what my research is about.
Yeah.
It's about uncovering individual differences in brains, in particular dementia patients' brains.
That's amazing.
That's a perfect sentence.
Really?
Yeah,
Boom, mic
really
drop.
cool.
I
Okay,
like-
thank you.
Okay.
I like that you paused just long enough to indicate it was a comma, but not a full
Not
stop.
a full
Yeah.
stop.
Very well done.
Thanks.
Perfect.
Thank you.
So, Serena, we know you've had sort of a bit of a journey to being a PhD student. Like, you didn't come straight from a undergraduate to master's to PhD. So we were wondering if you could tell us a little bit about that. What you've done prior.
Yeah, so I feel like I've been at uni all my life. so I started off doing my undergrad at King's, and that was in biomedical science, and I specialised in neuropharmacology, actually.
That's really cool.
So it's like drugs of the brain. I was like, oh, I'm
That's
so
amazing.
interested about that, and yeah, it was really interesting.
Any kind of drugs in specific? Or just...
I was quite interested in mental health, pharmacology, and how we can use certain chemicals to regulate the dysregulation of chemicals in the brain.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, I was just interested in about how emotions work in the brain, and like it's just such a big open area about the mind and body and emotions, and like I wanted to incorporate like my love for science and that was sort of kind of a degree which worked in that
That's
sense.
lovely.
Yeah, that's nice.
Very interesting.
Yeah, so but it was like there wasn't much thought about philosophy. You couldn't really like expand on your ideas of the mind and how on that side of things. It was a science degree, so I did feel limited in some ways, but it was just interesting. And then from there, I actually did a research assistant position at King's for a long time. I started off being more admin-y, and then into more research coordination, and then it was more academic.
Oh, wow.
Mainly because I wanted to just get research experience, and the place I was in was so relaxed and accommodating, and the team was really good, and I could just have stayed there for ages. And then so I was there for ages. I just didn't want to leave. And then I did my masters at Imperial, and that was in translational neuroscience.
Cool.
So like going back to more neuroscience stuff, and I had lots of fun doing that.
I was this close to choose this masters instead of the human robotics ones at Imperial. Yeah.
Because Mara and I were like at the same. Were we at the same
The
time?
same time there, yeah.
Really? Oh,
We
that's cool.
just
Did
met-
you know one another?
No.
No. But we probably like walked past each other or something.
Yeah, it's so crazy.
Like
It
ships
is-
in the night.
There's been so many people. What?
Oh, we were like, yeah, ships in the night. I know what you mean.
That's like you're saying about like two ships which come into a port in night and they like pass one another by.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
we were two ships in
Two
the night.
ships in the night. Oh, the computers.
I think my brain took like 5 seconds to understand that. I was like, what? But, yeah, we were in the doing the PhD,
Like
the masters at
level.
Imperial.
Yeah.
Same department, no?
Yeah, we were at C3NL
Yeah,
together. Same lab, kind of, because I was sort of based a bit at C3NL, and then I was at the neuropsychopharmacology lab, which was upstairs.
So I wanted to ask you, because you come from a more like neuroscience-y background, and now you're doing a PhD in computer science department, right? So it's kind of interesting and how you can reach computer science, or you can start computer science from so many different backgrounds at so many different levels. And we wanted to ask you, how did you find it? How did you adapt to computer science, or how you're doing it?
Initially, I was kind of a bit skeptical. I was thinking, oh, computer science is something I don't know anything about. I'm like, I just know what the CPU is. I don't know anything else on the computer. I know how to turn it on. So I was almost a bit like, I felt like out of my comfort zone. But what made me what reassured me was my supervisor, because James Cole, because he had almost a similar academic trajectory. He went, well, even further actually. He started off doing psychology, and then went into more neuroscience-y stuff, and then he's here. And I think it's because it's so many. When you're answering one research question, you need to know so much. You need to know a bit of stats, like how to visualize your data, and then you need to know how to write. There's so many different,
it's very interdisciplinary.
Exactly. And so I think the element that the fact that my supervisor went through a similar path and was just saying it's just how you apply, it's how you answer the research question. And it's stats that you kind of are already familiar with, like the idea of a regression being a very basic machine learning concept. I was like, oh, it's just a complicated regression. And I'm like, oh, okay, I get it. And then and so he was really reassuring, and I felt like, okay, this seems like an okay place to do my PhD.
Oh, it's so nice. Someone told me this when I was looking for PhDs, that sort of the most important thing is to find a good supervisor, and then actually the subject doesn't matter quite so much. You find a good supervisor.
It is difficult, I find, sometimes when you have a very clear idea of what you want to do. For example, it happened to me that I didn't, like, how are you going to know if a supervisor is good or like a... How do you do that when you're like a bit outside of...
Especially, if you're outside the loop. Luckily, I was in London for ages, so I kind of like our paths crossed a bit.
Like ships in the night.
I wanted to say it. I was like, did I say it? No. But so I was lucky that I'd obviously spent so long here, so I kind of like got to know certain groups and had a feel for like their vibe and how I would work actually in a research setting. So
that's good.
I think it took time for me to realise that, but I could have easily just done a PhD straight after like my BSc or like done something really quick and not really thought about it, and I don't know if I would have been as happy as I am now.
That's very interesting. So what we were wondering was, how do you think your experience of academia might have differed from a man's experience of academia?
That is a very good question. I think personally I found that my confidence as a woman in academia to my other male peers hasn't been as strong. And it's quite a subjective thing, and it's for me to sort of observe about. Like, for example, when we're just doing a presentation or interviews, they're like, "Oh, just be fine, just be yourself." And I'm like, "Yeah, I know," but like, and then I just see myself flapping and like, worrying about so much, and I think that's just stems from that there's so many issues and there's so many issues around women that are to the core of our society, which overlap in academia, just like confidence and seeing women in higher positions. And I saw a lot of PhD students or a lot of undergrads who are women, but I didn't really see like big role models. I'm like, and I don't know, that's such a bit classic thing in lots of industries, And I think in particular in academia, you've got to be so sure of yourself because you're selling your own intellectual knowledge in a way.
Yeah.
So confidence plays a more massive role.
Yeah, I think
And
you're
you
right.
also
so
don't
true.
know so much. So everyone has their own they have their own niches.
Mhm.
So if you're trying to get into another niche, you
Yeah.
have to be confident enough to be like, I don't know this, or I will learn it, or just be
Yeah.
comfortable. Where I'm like, oh, I'll go away and learn it. I don't know what this is.
Yeah.
Oh my god, and I'm freaking out about it. And so I think for me, the confidence is the biggest difference
Yeah.
between.
That's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
I think there's something quite societal in how we're brought up that a lot of men have maybe like a confidence in not knowing, or maybe
Mhm,
even like
yeah.
a lack of awareness that they don't know. Sorry, this is a really broad sweeping comment about all men. But I think it's something you
Yeah.
see more in men than you do in women, let's say.
Yeah. Okay, so Serena, if you could change one thing of your PhD, what would it be?
Ooh, good question. Okay, so I think the one thing that I would change is from the start, as I was saying, going into kind of academic subjects or a centre where I haven't done any computing work before. It was the lack of confidence that I was feeling at the time, and I felt like that stopped me asking questions where I needed to ask questions. And
Yeah.
stopped, and even though I had the most amazing supervisor, and he would often say to me, no question is a stupid question, Serena, but I was he could say that over and over and over again,
Mhm.
and it still would not infer that block in my head where I'm like, oh my gosh, this is a stupid question, or I'll just go away and learn it and then ask him, but then I
Yeah.
couldn't get, and there was some quite abstract mathsy concepts which I've never researched around before, having a quite a biology based background, and I was just too afraid to really just say that I didn't really understand them, and when I did and I had them explained to me, some of the explanations weren't enough. They were still quite technical, but I was too scared to then be like, oh, I still don't get it. And I think now I feel a bit more confident with myself. Now I've had more experience doing this PhD. So looking back, if there's one thing that I had to change, it would be from the start, and just to try and let that block go and try.
We'll jump into a fun question then.
Okay.
So,
Woohoo! Fun question.
so we were wondering, is there a song you have on repeat all the time at the moment?
Oh my god. It's going to be a really embarrassing song.
Oh, come
Okay.
on, guilty pleasure.
Wait, how embarrassing is it?
It's embarrassing.
I mean, if it's like Baby Shark, that's really embarrassing.
No.
Oh no, why did you mention that? Now it's gonna be
Baby
stuck in my head
Did
forever.
Is Baby Shark your song on repeat?
No, it's not, but once you say it, it's all the time.
Yeah, you see the whatever it is.
Yeah. So it's actually a really embarrassing song, but it makes me feel really nostalgic.
Okay.
But it's actually that Black Eyed Peas album, one of the really, in the noughties.
Oh, did it have a red cover?
It's
Like a
the one.
burgundy.
Oh, the one with my humps. My humps.
Yeah.
There's some songs from that, yeah. And actually, I've been listening to all those albums around that time, and I'd be like, oh yeah, in the club, enjoying it. And it's just so comforting.
Yeah,
and I've been
it
listening to it
takes you
on
back.
repeat. And my partner is just like, this other Black Eyed Peas songs that are a little bit better. I'm like, yeah, just vibe into this.
That's so lovely. At the end of the day, it's whatever makes you feel.
Yeah, it is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
no shame. Although
No.
telling you
No,
guys.
there's no shame.
Yeah.
Shall I wrap up?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for joining us, and thanks to Serena for talking to us. And we'll be back next month with another 10-minute chat.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.